What up, guys? Welcome to the Autofocus podcast. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dan, and today we're going to be talking about our obsession with gear.
Unbelievable obsession with gear. I feel like it's the only thing I do, but
Yeah, I have a lot of gear, and I don't use so much of it. I don't use half of it. It's crazy.
yeah, it's one of those things where like I will look for gear all day. It might even you and I could be talking about something, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, "Ooh, I need that," and then I'll look at it for hours on Amazon, on YouTube, wherever it might be, and at the end of the day, I really don't need it. Like,
of course.
A perfect example is we started this podcast with almost everything. I didn't buy anything for it, right? I have a camera, I have a microphone. You lent me a couple things, but at the end of the day, like, you can get by with what you have.
You know what's funny though, is the stuff I'm lending you or gave to you, whatever. That's the stuff that I bought back in the day that I don't use it. I have another one of those lights. I have 4 more of those mic stands.
You have another one of those lights?
Oh yeah, I have 4 more mic stands. Like, it sits in my room. I have no use for it.
Yeah, I have this. This doesn't just apply to photography gear. I'm obsessed with all type of gear. Like,
of course.
It could be watches, right? I just want to research it, and it could be knives. It could be guitars. It could be cars. I just have an obsession with stuff. Like, I'm serious, man. It's like at the end of the day, I don't even use, like, a lot of times I use it. I get that fix for it. And like down the road, yeah, sure, I use it, but I don't, some things you use more than, but I just love that process of researching it, calling you and being like, hey, Dan, I think I want to buy this. Like, what do you think? No, you should buy this. Then I research that.
That's the fun part, though, about you research it, you get to learn about it, and I love going back and forth, like, should I buy this product, like the Tascam or the Zoom, you know what I mean? Like, what's the difference? It's
exactly.
Great.
And when we were doing audio, this was even before we decided to do a podcast, I must have spent 6 or 7 hours, I kid you not,
that's light
deciding work. Whether I wanted that Tascam or the Zoom portable recorder. And I just, like, literally, my wife was going to kill me. Like, she wanted nothing to do with it. I kept calling you, and I was like, I hope I'm not annoying this kid. Like,
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I know you do. And it's one of those things that at the end of the day, it's almost not. You do all that research, and then the item shows up, and it's almost anticlimactic because you get it, and you're like,
right. It's like buying a new car, and then it's like buyer's remorse. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck.
Right.
Like, did I really need this?
I didn't need that. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
but I have a Zoom H1, and you know what I mean? I have the Zoom H6, and then I have the Rode Procaster. Like, it's like I have so much audio gear, and I'm like, I use the Procaster, but I don't use the other two. It's like I keep upgrading it. I'm like, what's the point? You know?
What's the
Gives
point?
you a couple more features, but.
And it's, I guess I break it down to in a couple categories, and this is typically, at least how it works for me, and I think it works for most photographers this way, is, you start with the basics. Typically, people don't have massive budgets when they start to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you start with a basic camera, you start with a basic computer, or whatever it might be, and then you slowly start to upgrade. Actually, somebody that, I learned this in college, but somebody that, like, really animated it really well, where I really started to be like, yeah, that totally, that makes more sense than the way my professor in college told me, was Casey Neistat. He explains the law of diminishing return really, really well. It's like, at the end of the day, you want to take a photo, right? Your camera, or your phone, which you already have, has a camera on it. It doesn't cost you anything because you already have the phone. You go and you take a picture, and you can take that picture, and for all intents and purposes, it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Somebody like you and I, we go out and spend, like, the camera I'm recording this on with the body and the lens and everything, it's almost $2,000, right? Well, the production quality and the is 10 times better, but at the end of the day, the product is still the same.
Yeah, the message and everything. Yes. Yep.
The message, and from a video perspective, it's with a photo, you can go out there and click. From a video perspective, if there's no photo, you don't click it, but your storytelling, or your whether you're marketing, maybe you're cutting a commercial, right? How you cut that commercial and you tell that person's brand, is more important than the gear itself.
100%. You know, customers, especially like, you know, if you're shooting for a business, they want to see you bring in a bunch of gear. They want to, you know, they're paying you a lot of money, so they want to kind of see what they're paying for. You know, we did a chiropractor a couple weeks back, and I brought in all my gear, lights, everything, tripods, 2 cameras, everything, mics, and he was just like blown away at the production he was getting. It makes it worth it for him. But we could have shot that on an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? And like with great audio, we could have shot on an iPhone and got the same result.
Dude, 100. I absolutely get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, with our obsession with gear is great, and our obsession with research and that process is great. But at the end of the day, what we're producing comes down to composition and edit
and the message.
And the message, right?
Yeah.
So in the video, your cuts, you know, your tempo when you cut your video, your music, your sound design, you know, your color grade,
sound design
audio,
is a whole nother thing.
Dude,
so
sound
important.
design is definitely a topic we need to cover.
Yeah.
It's you know, I've learned a lot in the past month and a half just with audio and microphones and compression and preamps and the whole 9 yards. You know a lot more about that than I do.
I still got a long way to go.
For sure. But yeah, doing research is sometimes more exciting than that.
I love sitting on YouTube and like watching people talk about products, and I just love it. I don't know why. But my problem is I don't resell my old gear, which I should. I just don't. I collect new gear, and then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll use that as a backup. Maybe I'll use it one day. And I never end up using it, and then it gets older and older and older. And that's my problem.
Yeah.
I wish I could sell gear and get new gear, but I never do.
Dude, I have the same problem. I mean, the problem too with technology, and especially with photography and video, is the stuff becomes obsolete so quickly.
Oh my god!
And it's like,
yeah,
you could get your monies back out of whatever it is you bought pretty quickly if you like buy it and you don't like it or whatever it is. You decide you don't want to use it, but instead I just put it in a bag or I put it in a closet. Oh, I'll use that one day.
Dude, I have a perfect example. I have a $5,000 drone sitting right to my left. $5,000. Bought it when drones weren't a thing, like when you had to build them. Yeah. So built that. It is what it was. You know, the gimbals were still. It's huge.
So
the drone's huge.
It's huge. It's massive.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Dan, you're talking about the one you built with the carbon fiber arms and like the gimbal head and the whole 9 yards. So Dan did talk about research, probably 50 hours or 100 hours worth of research.
Stupid. Yeah.
To go out and build a custom high-end drone that can handle, how big of a camera can that thing handle?
I mean, the big DSLRs, like you know,
so
back
it
in the day.
So it can handle a full-scale, you know, professional camera.
Right.
And he can go up and fly this thing and you have full camera control, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Full camera control from a remote control. When's the last time you brought that out?
So what's funny is I just took it out of the box. Like I put it back in the box, tried to sell it a couple years ago, and still today. And I just took it out of the box because I'm just gonna put it together and put it on my wall. Like it's a friggin' paperweight at this point, you know, because DJI is coming out with so many things unique with the Q500s, and then now whatever they're doing. Drones their cameras are so good, and they're just so easy to get and fly and cheap. You know, there's no need for those anymore.
Yeah. I told you earlier, like I almost went out for $400. You can buy a drone that is the size of a cell phone. Yeah. It has collapsible propellers. It has a 3-axis gimbal, and it can shoot. I think they can shoot 4K or 2.7K.
Oh, no, absolutely. I would be surprised if it couldn't shoot 4K.
Even if it can shoot 1080, which is the quality in which we are recording this podcast, right?
So, and I have this drone. This is the Mavic Pro Platinum or whatever, but like it's just so easy. The arms flip out. I can put this in my bag with a couple batteries and the remote, and my camera gear. I don't have to bring a separate bag. Like it makes it so easy to do.
I mean that's so basically the one I was looking at was a miniature version of that. DJI and all these brands are coming out, and they're so the other thing is the process to fly it is so easy, right?
Oh
So
my
like for
God.
you
Yeah.
for you to go out and fly your we'll call it your commercial drone that you built,
Yeah.
right? It's not easy to fly. Like it's
It's
a
not
hard
easy to
thing
fly. It did have GPS, so it was pretty stable, but it was definitely a lot
Right,
harder
it's
than the drones now.
right. It doesn't have all the like crash sensors.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you
I wanna
also
actually I'm gonna show you a motor from it. Hold on.
yeah, no, that's a great idea. I'll talk a little bit. So yeah, so one of the crazy things about the company like DJI, which I would say is probably the leading company in consumer drones or pro level to consumer drones,
I
is
will say
they make it
100% they
simple.
are.
Yeah,
They
they
are the
make it
best.
simple, right? So
Yeah.
you can download the application, you use your phone that you already have. For $400, you can go out and take, if you know what you're doing, you can shoot like commercial quality video and use it at at a very low like dollar, right? So your investment to do something like that is so minimal, whereas 5 years ago Dan's going to show you
Yeah.
it wasn't accessible, right?
It really wasn't. Like it really was. I mean, dude,
Dude,
this is the motor. I mean, this thing is huge.
so what Dan's got in his right hand is a motor to his custom drone. The propeller, it's one side of the propeller is almost the size of the DJI Mavic Pro, and it literally I mean, we're talking what 4 or 5 years worth of technology difference.
Yeah, right. It hasn't even been that long. Just the arm itself is like it's just huge. You know.
So I guess the last time you flew that, how long did it take you to set everything up?
Well, usually it's usually built. It all kind of folds down. The arms fold down.
But even then, like, what was the process? Like, we talk about doing all this. We're talking about gear, right? So we're talking about
Yeah.
the process. What's the process for you to go? Describe the process to take that thing out.
It was yeah. It was aggressive. It was it was a lot of work. It's not like the thing where I take out of my backpack, unfold the arms, and then turn it on. I'm ready to go. It was a lot more work than that.
Right, you got to mount your DSLR. You got to hook it up, make sure
Yeah.
all the controls are working. I mean, that might
And
be
especially
a half
with
hour,
a bigger
40-minute
drone
process.
too. Yeah, with a bigger drone too, you check you check your motors, you make sure everything, because if that thing falls out of the sky, not only are you losing a lot of money because you have your camera attached to it too, but you could hit somebody, you could hurt something. So you
dangerous.
want to make sure
It's
everything's
dangerous.
everything's on point.
Right.
Yeah.
So and this is when we talk about we're obsessed with gear. Both Dan and I, we really dive into whatever whatever like category within, we'll call it photography and videography, we get into. Like you at some point talked about wanting to buy the carbon fiber tripod from Peak Design.
Yeah.
I saw it today. It's $600.
And that's what I was like, are you kidding me? Oh my God, for a tripod. But that's what I spent for my big video tripod. And it's the best thing I ever bought, but I just can't do it for, I want to use it for just like an extra tripod.
Yeah, but
I can't do
talk about law of diminishing return. I have a tripod. I've got a couple different tripods, but the one that I like the most was in that one that was $60.
Oh wow.
It's all metal. It's got like quick release. It's like,
see, I'm on the opposite side of that.
So how much was you? So
my tripod was about $600, and it was a huge investment when I first bought it because it's a tripod. You're using it to hold up something. You know what I mean? To hold your camera. But when I bought it, it was the best investment I ever made. Not only that, I've had it for years. I'll probably have it for years on. And something broke on it. I hit up the company, and they sent me a new one for free. And I was just like, that is how Ben Rowe, I'll definitely shout them out because they were amazing. But it's like, I feel like when you spend the money on a tripod, you get your money's worth. I've bought in the cheap Best Buy tripods, and they break, and then I'm done, and then it's done. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I'm on the opposite end of that one.
Yeah, I mean, does that have I forget what they call it. It's like a ball.
Yeah, so this has a video. Well, this has a video head. So it's a fluid. It's a nice fluid head.
Fluid head. That's
yeah.
So fluid. Explain what a fluid head, because your video. So
yep. So I don't have anything to do, but fluid head. I think some of them, the real expensive ones, have fluid in them. So when you move it, it's a very smooth movement. There's almost like some tension in it, so you don't get any bumps and jitters. When you have a ball head's more for like photography and kind of getting your angle, because when you're moving it, if you have a ball head all the way loosened, you're gonna get like a little kind of up and down movement,
X, Y, and Z movement,
right?
Which is what I have. Like I don't have a fluid head.
Yeah.
It allows. So I have a tough time getting like just like basic pan shots.
Yeah.
So I have to be like creative, right? So you can get
it's
with
for
a fluid
moving
head, you
shots.
can get nice pan shots or up
Yeah.
and downs or all that stuff, which I have a tough time getting. Where you have the equipment to do so. So I guess I can understand from an investment perspective, but you talk about getting the Peak Design one with carbon fiber legs. That doesn't have a fluid head on it. So that's
right.
just,
Well, yeah.
just the legs.
Yes. Well, no, it's the legs and it has a head, but it's a ball head.
Right. So,
but I would
you put your fluid head on it?
No. So that would be for my it's just a messing around tripod. You know what I'm saying? So I would just put my EOS R on it, and it was kind of like my vlogging tripod. But that's why I didn't get it, because it was $600.
Dan, this is our problem.
Yeah.
We're obsessed with gear.
100%.
You want to buy a $600 tripod to literally mess around with.
Well, when I saw the price, I was like, I can't get that. There's no way.
I think they make a non-carbon fiber
They
version.
do. They make an aluminum one, but it's still like $4.99 or $3.99 or something. And
It's crazy. It's crazy.
For that, I was kind of looking for like, a $100 tripod to kind of just mess around with, but
Yeah. I'll tell you, the one that I have that I think was $60 is a phenomenal little tripod that I use all the time.
Yeah.
It's gear's a fun topic for sure. Amazon has made a ton of money for me.
They make it so easy. They make it so easy.
Man. It shows up in 2 days. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's even like the little things like USB-C to USB-A like adapters or like Gorilla Joby pods or like just like the little things that like you just add click.
But I will say, actually, I literally just did that the other day on Amazon. Click. I bought like 5 things. So they'll be showing up soon.
Actually, a perfect example would be, how about the microphone you just bought?
Oh yeah. I bought the microphone. I bought a couple other things like an extension arm. But the thing was, I bought the microphone, and then an extension arm popped up in the things you might want.
I'll take
and
it.
I'm like, yes,
Click.
I do want that. Yeah. So it was terrible. But so I bought a couple things.
Here's the thing with the microphone. You're gonna love it. I think it's a Rode Podcaster microphone.
Yeah.
So it's a dynamic microphone, so it isolates your voice really well, so you don't get a ton of background noise. It's definitely something if we're going to continue to do this, that I would be interested in. But our production quality, as far as podcasts goes, is through the roof.
You know what's funny? Is it probably isn't going to be better than my shotgun mic. Because this shotgun mic is it's a directional mic.
Right.
So anything coming from the side, cardioids and all that. So coming from the sides, it's blocking the audio. So this mic might be better, but it's just like it matches with my Rode Procaster. So I was like, let me try it. And it was $100. It wasn't crazy.
But that's the problem.
But that's the problem, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I want to say one quick thing. So I have such a problem, and that's why I was excited about the EOS R, because
wait, hold on before you finish your story. You just admitted that is this like an is this like a therapy session? You just admitted yes, I do have a problem.
I 100% have a problem. That's what the title should be. I have a problem.
All right, sorry, go ahead. So EOS R.
So I bought the EOS R, and I did it. Well, my girl got it for me for my birthday, but she bought me the 5D Mark IV, and I returned it because I did my research, just like we were talking about. And I was like, I'm gonna buy the EOS R, and she bought me that, and I was like, babe, do you mind if I, you know what I mean?
Right,
so I traded it for the EOS R, and I got it because I was so sick and tired of bringing so much gear with me to do video, to do photography, to do everything, and I'm like, I just want one simple setup, a small backpack, and just to go out and do what I need to do, and that's why I was like, and
we talked about this in our what we shoot with podcast episode 2. Shameless plug if you're listening to this and haven't listened to that yet, go listen to that. But that's one of the reasons why I was so interested in mirrorless cameras, is because the compact size. after we
Yeah.
shot that
Yeah.
episode, I actually ended up taking my camera with me. I'm just going to try to take it. I don't need all my
Right.
lenses. I'm just going to take my 28 to 75, my camera, couple batteries, and a memory card, and that's it. Like if I don't
Yep.
have a polarizer, I don't have whatever. At the end of
I
the day,
purposely
it is what it
stopped
is.
bringing lenses. I just brought 2 with me, just so that's all I needed to be creative with those 2. I didn't have options. I just
Right.
had to make do with what I had. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, and I want to do an episode just on lenses itself, but when
Mm-hmm.
I started getting into prime lenses, non-zoom lenses, my composition got way better. I started
'cause-
thinking about my shots
Because
better.
your zoom is your feet. You have to walk in and walk out
Right.
to make it work. Yeah.
You mean your feet or your zoom?
Your feet. What did I say? Your zoom or your feet?
Zoom or your feet. I mean, I guess that works too.
I guess-
But your zoom or your feet. It just depends.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to move in and move out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dan and I will end up doing a lot of like gear tutorials on this podcast for sure. Things that we have, we'll both put our hands on it and kind of give us the features and benefits of those and why we think we might recommend those for people. But at the end of the day, we both have a problem, but it's part of the hobby and it's what makes it fun. So
And
it
exactly,
actually
I love it.
motivates us
Oh
for
my
sure,
God, yeah.
because you want to use that gear.
And
I love
especially
it.
if you
So
rent or like other people ask you about it and you know what you're talking about. Like I love researching gear, knowing everything about it, and then when I
For
get
sure.
my hands
I
on
mean,
it,
I'm
I
a
know what to
knowledge
do.
junkie. I mean, people
Yeah.
will start to figure that out from this podcast. Like,
You're very smart.
I like to, well, thanks. That's not what I like to know a little bit about everything. Like, I love just like that little bit of knowledge. I have a coworker who calls it a 5-quarter word. He doesn't actually have to know about the topic, but if he can use a couple of the vocabulary from that particular, like whether it's profession or hobby or whatever,
Yep.
it makes him feel educated, it makes him sound educated, and he can be a part of the conversation. And that's kind of what this podcast is about, is being part of the conversation and hopefully motivating some people to get out there and shoot and have some fun.
Yeah. 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 At the end of the day, it's all about fun, and I love it. You love it. You love buying gear and taking
Dude, I love it.
photos, and yeah.
So cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's a
so
good podcast.
that's Autofocus podcast about how we're obsessed with gear and how that will never change. But thanks again for listening. Again, please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, social media platforms
Spotify.
are important. What'd you say?
Spotify.
Spotify. We're getting on Castbox, Google Play. Still not on Apple Podcast. We're working on it. Hopefully, actually, by the time this episode airs, we'll be up.
I feel like they took about a week or two when I did my podcast, and then we were up
Right.
on there. But I bet within a couple
At this
more
point,
days,
it's
we'll be
almost
up on
been
there.
10 days, so I'm
Yeah.
hoping we're getting approved shortly. So,
Yeah.
but thanks again for everybody for listening. This is the Autofocus Podcast. I'm Scott.
And I'm